All right, welcome everyone to the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 technical update briefing for April of 2023. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Ryan Anderson. I am a senior cloud solution architect and focus on Power Platform and Dynamics 365. And I'll be presenting from the customer engagement apps side today, as well as Power Platform. And then also with us is Tom Stump. He is a principal cloud solution architect, and he will be covering the finance and ops apps today and that side of the things. Also on the call is Madan Sampath. He will be covering any of your Q&A and chat during the meeting today. All mics will be muted and all cameras turned off for today, but you should have the option there to use the Q&A pane in Teams and also the chat. So if you have questions as we go along, please feel free to use the Q&A to ask those questions, and we'll get to those as soon as we can. Also, the slide deck will be available after the call here today on the blog. We'll give you a link to that at the end. I might be able to put it in the chat here, but the slide deck will be available, so you'll have all the links. You can download the PDF of the deck, and you'll have all the links there. All right, so with that, let's jump into the content for today. And as usual, we'll start with our featured news. So, kind of as a general category or overarching theme here in the meeting today is really AI generated development. So you've probably heard of Power Platform Copilot in various areas of the Power Platform, in Power Apps, Automate, Virtual Agents, also in the Dynamics apps. And so there'll be a number of slides that we'll talk about today that'll involve Copilot and AI. But in general, Microsoft Power Platform is reinventing software development with AI-powered no or low-code development. Microsoft Power Platform, we announced Copilot in Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and like I mentioned, in Dynamics apps as well. So basically now, if you can imagine a solution, you can simply describe it in everyday language, and Copilot can help you create that. So we'll cover this in a variety of areas today across the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 apps. Specifically on the Power App side, so AI Copilot and Microsoft Power Apps. This is the next step in AI first development. This will transform how we build and interact with software applications. With the power of large language models, we're advancing to the next step in the evolution of code abstraction, moving from custom code to low code, now to natural language authoring, where human and machine can work side by side to build applications together. And we're bringing the power of Copilot and Power Apps to both application makers and the end users. So now you can build an app, including the data behind it, just by describing what you need through multiple steps of conversation. And what's more, the apps you create can have Copilot powered experiences built in from the very first screen. So lots of great functionality here. So if you haven't looked at that yet, definitely recommend checking that out and reading more about that. Also wanted to mention quickly, GitHub also is using Copilot as an AI pair programmer. And so you can use GitHub Copilot to get suggestions for whole lines or entire functions right inside your editor. So if you're using GitHub, make sure to check that one out as well. Okay, next up, we have some events just wanted to mention. The Microsoft Power Platform Conference is happening October 3rd through the 5th. This is in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand Conference Center. This is an in-person event, so you can register now for that. And then also we had our Microsoft Business Applications launch event. That was on April 4th, which was the launch of the Wave 1 for 2023. And so that's on demand as well, so you can check that out. Okay, so that takes us through the feature news. Let's jump over to service updates. And we'll start off with the Power Platform and Dynamics 365 customer engagement apps. So just recently, we had the release of the 2023 Release Wave 1. We'll talk about some dates on that here upcoming, but that's a typical release cadence for Power Platform and Dynamics 365. You can find more information on those release plans and the dates on the links in this slide here. Uh, Typically, the release waves come in April and October of each year. So we just had the 2023 Release Wave 1 for both Dynamics and Power Platform. Um, Typically, this involves a number of dates. The release plans were available originally on January 25th. Um, we had early access available starting on February 6th, and then GA for the many of the features was on April 1st of 2023. Uh, Keep in mind with these release waves, they do cover a large span of time. So the release wave 1 in this case covers everything from April all the way through September. So while there may be some features that are turned on right away on April 1st, other ones may not get turned on until later in that release period. Or it could be a situation where there may be a preview to start with, and then later in the period, there may be a GA or things along that nature. So definitely take a look at the features that are interesting to you and check out the dates because it's not always just a big bang right on April 1st on some of those dates. Again, as far as the deployment schedule for release wave 1, it's a rolling schedule dependent on what region your environments are in. So like I mentioned, this started on April 1st. So those are the first regions that are shown in the slide here. That it went to those regions first, and then rolled out kind of throughout April to different regions. The North America region it was last weekend, so April 21st to the 23rd. So if you're in the North America region, if you hadn't already applied the Release Wave 1, you should have that in your environment now, as it would automatically get applied. The only regions that don't have it quite yet, and that'll be starting tomorrow, would be China, and then also some of our government regions. So those would be the only ones that are left. Okay. Wanted to mention again, we've talked about this one before. There is a release planner that you can use to track releases and the features in that releases. It is still in preview, and so there are still features being added, but just wanted to share a few things with this. Make sure you log in if you are using this, because once you log in with a Microsoft account, you'll have more options, such as saving features to your release plan. Some of the new features here, you can actually collaborate right through this release planner using notes. You can share your own release plans. You can also filter by release wave. A few other key features that have been added. You can obviously search the release plan. One of them that's kind of interesting is that you can retrieve the release plans using an API. So you can check that out if you want to keep closer track. Filtering and sorting. You can view the release plans in a timeline. Like I mentioned, create that personalized plan and then share your plan with others. So it's a nice way to keep track of certain features, and there's lots of different ways to kind of slice and dice that information based on what you're looking for. Okay, let's talk a bit about deprecations and retirements in April. So back in November, we'll go back a little bit first. The data export service was retired, so everyone should be off of that by now. In January, we had some model-driven app controls. Those were deprecated. The retirement doesn't come until April of next year, but if you are using those, we recommend to move on to other solutions. The big one that was originally scheduled here in April was the OData version 2 service, and that was going to be retired in April. That's been changed, and so it's actually postponed to give everyone more time to update their environments and make changes, so they're not using that. There isn't a date that I know of yet that's been posted as far as when that will be retired, but we definitely would recommend that everyone make those changes as soon as possible, because that retirement will be coming. It's just postponed from now. So make sure you if you're using that, to start using other solutions there as well. The other things in April here that are moving forward, some customer service admin areas will be deprecated. Also, the omni-channel for customer service app is deprecated. So again, deprecated doesn't mean retired or removed quite yet. It just means that it will be in the future. And then also another one to keep in mind coming up in October is the Dataverse Legacy Connector, and that will be retired in October. So if you're using that, make sure to switch to a supported connector with that one. And again, there's a good article there that important changes, deprecations. Always check there for the latest announcements as these things do change. And then there's also another link there for customer service deprecations specifically. Okay, moving on. Our typical Microsoft Dataverse service updates. Again, these are pushed out on a regular basis automatically. Nothing that anyone has to do to schedule these or anything like that. They're done on a regional basis, just like the Release Wave 1 is. So there's different stations and there's different regions that are involved in each one. So depending on which environment which region your environment is in, that can change the date, and it can change what update you may have available. So if you can find your region there, find the version you should have. All this information is available on an article that's linked there, so you can always see what versions should be scheduled for your environment. All right, and I am going to turn it over to Tom to cover his areas.
Thank you, Ryan. Now on to some finance and operations updates. The first thing we'll look at is the service update availability for the most recent versions here. So within the last week, we had 10.0.33 hit general availability. So that's ready to go. And the preview version of 10.0.34 is also now available in the asset library. So if you want to take a look at anything in that preview version, feel free to download that and apply that to a sandbox environment or a development environment. A few quick notes here: service updates. You have the control on. You can either have those applied automatically for you so that you're always up to date, or you can suspend that schedule or the automatic schedule and be up to 3 versions behind. That's still completely in your control. 7 updates are available per year, and then we just with the allowance for 3 versions behind, that means you must take at least 2 service updates each year. And then from a quality update perspective, quality updates are provided for the current version and one previous version, and those can be applied as you like to address any sort of hotfix needs that you have at any point in time that you want. So that is the service update availability side. Moving on to proactive quality updates. If I can get the slide to advance here. Doesn't seem to be advancing for me, and I just lost my Ryan, do you want me maybe take it back?
Sure. Yeah, I just took a step back, and
Okay,
I'll
perfect.
advance it to the next slide.
Great. I'm not sure what's going on with Teams this morning, but we'll work
Yeah.
our way through it. So the uh, the proactive quality updates for finance and operations. Just a quick update on where we are with this in the deployment. Customers who are running 10.0.30 and later versions are technically in scope for proactive quality updates, which are they're mandatory monthly updates of in-service versions. But not all customers who are running .30 and above are onboarded yet. We're still in the process of getting all customers onboarded. So you'll see a mix of customers that are on these versions that are receiving proactive quality updates and some that aren't yet. I believe we should have everybody onboarded for proactive quality updates in the July timeframe. So if you're not receiving them yet, you will be shortly. And just a quick overview of what's going on here. We completed the 10.0.30 update train. So that is no longer receiving proactive quality updates. And then for 10.0.31, release train 3, sandboxes are being updated in the May 1 to 19 timeframe. Sandbox environments can be updated during the week, and then production environments are always updated over the weekend, and that's the May 13 to 28 timeframe, depending on, of course, which station that you're a part of, based on the region. And then 10.032 sandboxes are already underway. And then production for that is the April 29 to May 14 timeframe. So that is all for the proactive quality update side. If we can advance to the next slide, please. There's a couple of deprecation notices here to be aware of. The first one here has to do with the ability to use external accounts to sign in. So finance and operations has the ability to basically allow users to sign in even when you're not a part of the current Active Directory, and that is being taken away. So that's deprecated as of July, and then end of support for that feature is in October. What it's being replaced with is the Azure Active Directory business to business feature that allows you to set up and provide a secure way to give access for external users. So that's one thing to be aware of if you have users in your finance and operations app that are not a part of your Azure Active Directory. This will be something you'll need to take action on in the future here. Next slide, please. All right, one other deprecated feature has to do with accessibility insights for Site Builder. That is being deprecated and replaced with version 10.033. And what we're finding here is that there's just a better solution. So it's being replaced with that solution. So similar results can be achieved with less latency by installing the Accessibility Insights browser plugin. And the link is provided there. And what we'll be doing is replacing the feature with in-tool instructions to go to the Accessibility Insights browser plugin. Okay, so that is our last deprecation for finance and operations that we need to make note of. And we'll move back to Ryan for some product updates.
Okay, great. Thanks, Tom. So it looks like maybe if some people are having issue with the slides, Dan posted a couple of options that you can use in the chat, a direct link to the meeting and also potentially joining Teams on the web version. So if you're still having issues, check out the chat and maybe that'll help. All right, so let's jump into product updates, and we'll start with Power Platform and Dynamics 365 customer engagements. Lots of interesting things here this month. All right, so let's start off with admin configured maker welcome experience in Power Apps. So this one, we're pleased to announce that the maker welcome content is now available for Power Apps Maker Portal. So today, admins rely on sending welcome emails, creating wikis, and setting up internal portals to educate their makers. Since this information can be presented in so many different places, makers could miss that important communication. And so with the maker welcome experience, admins can actually customize their content that is displayed to users in the maker portal and proactively communicate information like security policies, knowledge bases, and environment's purpose, and support information to those makers. So you can get that information in front of the makers when they log in to the environment. So that should help pass along that kind of information to them without having to jump around to a lot of different places. Next up, being able to easily design and automatically send actionable data-driven cards in Teams. So we're announcing that cards for Power Apps can be sent automatically via flows using our new connector and the updated Teams connector. And the card's authoring experience has also been significantly improved, making it easier to design cards that suit your business process. So cards can be shared automatically in Teams, like a daily status update on an opportunity or something along those lines. You can automatically send cards via Flow with Power Automate, and cards for Power Apps can be used in those flows. So you can use any existing trigger to create a customizable card and send that in a Teams chat or a channel. And Power Automate enables those micro experiences. So some interesting and fun functionality there to be able to use those cards in Power Automate and your flows to help automate that type of thing and move that data over into Power Automate in your flow. All right. Next up is announcing the tenant switcher in Power Apps Mobile. And so sometimes users need to be able to access apps shared from them in different tenants. So with this, users can actually switch between those tenants in Power Apps Mobile and are not limited to just that one tenant. So they can get back and forth between the apps they need to use. One known limitation of this one is that users signing in with a Microsoft account can't switch directories from the user profile page. They need to continue to use a deep link to get that functionality. And there's more information on that in that article. All right, next up. So this is a little more on the developer side, Power Platform command line interface. So there's a new update for the command line interface for developers. First, you'll see in the top right corner there's a new icon specifically for Power Platform CLI and Power Platform developer tools in general. So if you see that icon going forward, that's what that one means. Also, some of the new features is less noisy solution XML. There's an example there in the screenshot, but just provides a cleaner look in the XML. There's also a couple new commands. One is the fetch command. So this is used to query Dataverse instance to get various properties of the Dataverse entities in that instance. So you have the ability to do that now through CLI. And then also another new command is the PAC admin status. And so this one, when you use admin commands, they operate in async mode. So you never quite know, or it's hard to know how if the async job request is actually completed and finished. But now you have that this admin status command that shows the status of the async job within the PAC admin status there. So you can use that going forward as well. So some nice new functionality via CLI. All right, another Power Apps feature here. Basically, this allows users to request a license from their administrator when it's needed. right directly in the product. So often if a user gets to a point where they're using some portion of Power Platform where their license doesn't cover, such as maybe they're trying to use a premium connector or whatever it may be, typically they'll get a message that says, purchase a license or sign up for a trial. Which may not be that helpful. So with this change, they can actually send a request for a license directly to the administrator of their environment, and it provides that functionality right through the application there. So that request that can then go to the admin, and they can help get that license for the user to get to wherever they needed to go. All right, up next is the new Power FX formula bar in Power App Studio. This is announcing a new Power FX formula editing experience in Power App Studio. The new formula editor is available right now. It's a preview or experimental feature, but we definitely encourage you to turn it on and give it a try. There's a few improvements that come along with this. Consistent editing. The Power FX editing experience is now consistent wherever you edit formulas within the studio. Also improve suggestions and completion. The completion suggestions and signature help is faster, more performant, and is shown with a more modern looking experience. And then also some enhanced error highlighting. And that was we had heard feedback that was one of the missing features in the enhanced formula bar was the error highlighting. So now it's in the product with the new experimental feature. So you do need to opt into this so you can turn that on and start using that. Again, experimental feature, but definitely encourage you to start using it and provide feedback. All right, up next is some announcements around the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. Um, So the Center of Excellence kit has been available for some time. With this update, the COE Starter Kit can use data provided by the data export feature as a foundation for inventory and telemetry. So you can export Power Platform information and usage data directly to Azure Data Lake storage using the data export feature in Power Platform Admin Center. And because the data is provided by the Admin Center, this mechanism, it's really very efficient. Once you've set up the data export feature, you can configure the COE starter kit to use the data provided by the feature to power that kit's dashboards, apps, and flows. One of the reasons that this was made available and it's pretty powerful is that previously cloud flows were used to sync inventory, and those cloud flows count towards Power Platform request usage and entitlements, so it could hit throttling limits at different times. So with the data export feature, this uses Power BI and Power Platform data flows, which are powerful at transforming and handling those large amounts of data. So you can try this out. This is a preview as well. We recommend if you're currently using it in a production environment, to maybe try this out in a pre-prod environment first, and make sure it's working as intended. Also, something else that's new with the Center of Excellence Starter Kit is a setup and upgrade wizard. So it's always been a bit of a challenge to get this set up appropriately. So now there's a wizard to help you get this set up if you're not using it already. So check that out as well. All right. Next up is some new functionality in on mobile devices for scanning barcodes. So barcode scanning was already a feature within the mobile apps. This is enhancing that feature. So you can select a scan. So if you have multiple barcodes in view, you can select which barcode you want to scan. You can scan multiple. And return that as like a table output, so you can scan multiple barcodes and then perform your operations on those. And also better using experience, see what you're scanning, and have scanned with the barcode tracking indicators and that drop down drawer showing your scan history. So these are available both on Android and iOS devices. Um, There's also some additional supported types of barcodes that can be scanned now. You can use your zoom to zoom in to get a better view of barcodes, and then also you can use your flashlight on the device as well when you're scanning those barcodes. So just in general, some enhanced functionality around scanning barcodes with the mobile app. All right, so changing gears a bit, this is a little bit more on the ALM side, solution checker enforcement and managed environments. So you can now uh, configure your environment to use the solution checker automatically when solutions are being created. So you do have to use a managed environment for this feature, but once you're using a managed environment, you can configure the solution checker to be automatically run, and you can create that in a block mode where you can block solutions. You can block the import of solutions if they run into any critical violations. You can just put that in warn mode where solutions can't be imported, or solutions can be imported, but they're just given a warning on those critical violations. So you can turn those on to help manage those solutions and kind of head off any issues before they get imported into the environment. Some modern controls coming to Canvas apps. Um, so we made an announcement previously and launched a new look for model-driven apps, and so this is making the same modern controls available to Canvas apps, and this is through an opt-in preview. So the modern look is focused and less cluttered design and supports richer interaction. It provides a higher usability baseline to build your low-code apps. And the controls are based on Microsoft's Fluent design system, which powers the majority of Microsoft experiences across both Power Apps, but also things like Teams and Word and more. The new controls are faster and also with accessibility built in, and are also designed with theming in mind. It's not part of the initial launch, but support for theming and per control styling will be coming soon as well. And then lastly, we just have kind of a list of some of the features that are in the release wave one. If you haven't seen these yet, I would recommend taking a look. So like I mentioned, some of these get turned on automatically when release wave one gets applied. Other ones will be coming later in the release wave cycle. So take a look at those. These are all the new and planned for Power Apps as well. All right, so let's jump to Power Automate. The first one under Power Automate is a more manageable cloud flows with Dataverse solutions by default. So what this does is that it will if you turn this on, it'll automatically put any new cloud flows into a Dataverse solution. And once it's in that solution, it just makes it easier to manage. It's more portable if you're moving it between environments. So typically we recommend putting these in solutions, and this will basically just do it by default. So you can find more information there. There's a few new connectors here in April. This first list is the independent connectors. So these are things that you can use within Power Automate to connect various systems. So there's a list of those. And then also there's two new verified connectors available, and then also some updates to existing ones. So the verified connectors are the ones that may be developed by a third party company, but then we have a verification process in Microsoft to take those through. So a few new ones there and some updates. Also some new Power Automate functionality here, and kind of some guidance on how to use Power Automate for more personal productivity. You can do things like use a flow to find a meeting time with a message sender, and it'll help you do that. You can You can set up a flow to automatically remove canceled meetings in your calendar and then notify you. You can do other things like you can automatically prompt users to send an agenda for a meeting. So if you have a meeting on your calendar with no agenda, it'll send a message to the organizer and ask for the agenda before. And then you can also you can set up a flow to prompt you before a meeting and ask you if you want to send a meeting or send a message that indicates that you're running late or something along those lines. So lots of functionality there that can be used used more for personal productivity within Power Automate as well. And again, like I mentioned earlier, AI, a Copilot and AI is also available within Power Automate. So if you can describe it in your own words, the Copilot will help you design your flow in Power Automate. The other cool thing is that you can also create text with GPT in Power Automate, so you can use GPT to generate text on the fly as part of those flows. So some pretty cool functionality there. That will allow for some new functionality. And then again, all the new and planned features that are in release wave 1 for Power Automate. I won't go through all of these, but you can always find them in the deck, and the deck will be available on our blog site after this call is over. Okay, and jumping into Power BI. All right, the first one here is around Power BI and PowerPoint, and there's an integration there that was in preview and is now generally available. So some of the new capabilities there is you can paste a single Power BI visual into the PowerPoint add-in. Some of the feedback we got was that folks just wanted to add that single chart into a slide, so you can do that now. All the capabilities currently available reports are also available for that single visual. So you can just right-click the visual and you can get that capability. Also, Smart Insights is the next feature in the release, and it gives you the ability to quickly generate text that summarizes the data. So if you're building a slide and you have a chart that has a certain set of data that you want to present in the slide, the Smart Insights will generate text that you can put in kind of next to it to give a readable version of that data as well. Also, you can keep up to date with the latest features and future updates by using that What's New banner, and that is available now as well. Next up, Power BI org apps with multiple audiences generally available. This one again previously was in preview. We're announcing GA. This was so you can have multiple audiences for a Power BI app, and the author can create multiple audience groups within the same app and assign different permissions to each group. And that is also available in the Power BI mobile app as well. All right, up next, you can use Power BI data from different regions in your Power App solutions now. So you can use both admin feature switches must be enabled to allow those cross geo operations, but you can use data from different regions all in the same place if that is enabled by an administrator now at this point. All right. This next topic is around the apply all and clear all slicer buttons. If you're interested in this, I would encourage you to read the article on this one because it kind of dives deep into that functionality. That apply all slicer button, when it's used, will keep track of all the slicer selections and apply them all at once when you click on the apply all slicers. So some new functionality there as well. And lastly, here on the Power BI side, there is some new functionality around workspaces where you can pin those workspaces in your environment so you're not searching for them all the time. And also, there's latest updates for on-premise gateway. So if you're using those, make sure you update to the latest version. And then lastly, again, kind of just a list of the features that are available within Release Wave 1. All right, so let's move on to Power Virtual Agents. And now I'm having an issue getting to the next slide. Let's see if we can get there. Tom, do you want to try to take over and see if we can get to the next slide?
There we go. Our virtual agents. Let's see.
All right, great. I am reloading on my side as well. There it is. Thank you. So again, we're back to Copilot. Copilot is also available within Power Virtual Agents. Again, the next generation AI assistants. You can use natural language to build your Power Virtual Agents here. You can describe it in natural language and it'll create those Power Virtual Agents for you. And there's some interesting examples of bots answering different questions and different things. So I would definitely recommend, if you're using Power Virtual Agents, to read that article and get some more information there. All right, next slide. Thank you. Again, just some more of the topics or features available in Release Wave 1. You can take a look at those if you're using Power Virtual Agents. We can go on to the next. All right, so Dataverse and Dynamics. Again, Copilot is available within Dynamics 365, kind of across the different apps. This first one here is around the Viva Sales app. You can generate replies with proposed meeting times. You can build upon generated replies by adding additional prompts. And so to make modifications to generated replies, sellers can refine the results further by providing a new prompt that builds upon the previous suggestions. So just kind of adding on to what Copilot is also already generating. You can now understand the data sources behind the generated replies as well. So if you're using Viva Sales, you can hover over any of those highlighted areas to view the data sources behind the generated replies. So this kind of gives you a little insight into why those replies were created. You can also improve future replies. So there's a feedback mechanism that allows sellers to rate the AI generated content with kind of a thumbs up or thumbs down. And when they do that, then it'll help refine and improve those future replies. And then lastly, in Viva Sales now, there's a functionality to provide a meeting summary following meetings. All right, next slide. So some of the same things on the Dynamics 365 customer service app. You can make every customer service agent a super agent, right? So this is around using knowledge articles. So this is really assisting agents with finding information based on the support case that they're working on. Rather than having to jump around to multiple knowledge sources, Copilot can help bring all that together and make suggestions on how the agent should move forward with each interaction. Agents can answer customer questions fast across different channels. So with omni-channel capabilities, customer service agents, they get a streamlined view of incoming chats, and Copilot can help them manage those chats. They can also send expertly crafted customer service emails with Copilot, and then also enrich that self-service with AI-powered conversational assistance with Dynamics 365 customer service. All right, next slide. Marketing and customer insights. So you can discover more about customers faster. You can use the Copilot feature in Customer Insights to allow data analysts and marketers to engage directly with customer data using natural language. You can get segment suggestions in a snap. So again, this provides suggestions for marketers on what segments that they can be using. You can use Query Assist with a Copilot feature, and marketers can just, again, with natural language, describe the segment that they want to build against, and that will help you with that. And then also you can craft new content with ease. This one actually is interesting. It uses Copilot in marketing to actually generate content that you can use in your marketing assets going forward. So to create that kind of capability, there was 10 months working with hundreds of different preview customers, gathering and analyzing marketing emails from the public domain to tune the AI model. So this result is a highly accurate and reliable content engine that uses Azure OpenAI service to generate content ideas that marketers can then edit, personalize, and send to customers. All right, moving on. And I think, yeah, we just have, there's a few slides here we can go through of the different features that are in release wave 1. This first one is for sales. If we can move forward. The second one is around customer service. Or I guess there's two slides for sales, and we have customer service. And a couple of those, and then also the last one is around Dataverse. So again, if any of these that are listed as April, they get turned on when you get release wave 1. Make that active. Other ones will be coming later. So take a look at each one of those. And with that, I think we go back to Tom from the finance and ops side.
All right, very good. So a few things to cover as far as product updates on the finance and operations side. The first one here is a bit of a visual refresh. Again, kind of calling back to the Fluent design. If you're not already on 10.0.32, you probably haven't seen this yet, but a few things have been rearranged within the application. Kind of the first one is we have this new back button, which is now on the left-hand side, and that's replacing the closeout button, which was on the right side. And then we rearranged our filter, which used to be, again, aligned to the left, and now it's aligned to the right. And then the related information used to be, it's still in the same place, but now it's an icon only flyout, depending on what screen that you're on, but that's aligned here with the filter. So a few other things, those are kind of the big ones from a navigation standpoint, but there are other kind of visual cues that are being added as well. A quick note, I guess, if you're using for test automation, if you're using the regression suite automation tool and you have test cases that kind of click through to different screens, you may have to re-record some of those tests in order to, because the navigation is a little different. So just a note on that. All right, the next one is in the development area. And what there's some new content around using Git for your version control. So up till now, we've really kind of, the core version control system has been Team Foundation or TFVC. And but we do realize that a lot of customers have standardized on Git, and there's been requests about using Git to manage their finance and operations customizations. So here's some new functionality around using Git with X++. And there's some good articles here that talk about, what are the differences, limitations, comparisons between the two systems, distributed version control versus centralized version control. So if you are a big Git user, maybe this is something that you want to look at and evaluate to see if it's right for you. Okay, so moving more specifically into the finance app, the thing I wanted to highlight here is financial tags. So we're probably all familiar with financial dimensions, based on our chart of accounts. But what this new feature does is it lets you track other user-defined fields on accounting entries that get posted to the general ledger. Now, tags are starting with the general ledger, but they'll be available within other parts of the application down the road too. So they're a bit more flexible than your standard financial dimension. Um, so these are something that it does not replace a financial dimension, but could be used in conjunction with it. Um, excuse me. So definitely something to take a look at if you're looking for ways to track other things that are not a part of your current financial dimension set. Moving on to supply chain management. Uh, Archive has been a hot topic lately within the finance and operations apps. And there are some new features coming in order to enable archive of certain types of data. One is sales order data, and that is currently in public preview with a GA target of June. So the idea here is that we'd be able to save storage space and gain performance with a reduced data set to work against. And the overall solution and the strategy that we're going to use across multiple areas of the application is to move data to archive tables um, within the current database, and then from the archive table within the database, eventually move that out to historical historical storage out within a data lake. So kind of a multi-step process there. And that's the sales order archive. Along with that, um, a public preview of inventory archive or inventory transaction archive should be available in the July timeframe with no set GA date. But basically, it's the same type of an approach here, moving inventory transactions of historical nature within the database, and then from a new table within the database, ultimately out to a data lake. Moving on to commerce, the highlight here is actually the title here isn't quite right. This is about Apple Pay. Um, so configuring Apple Pay Express payments. So what this feature does here is it enables the shopper to complete a checkout directly from Apple Pay payments window without having to navigate back. So it just kind of makes that process and the overall experience quicker and more efficient. So that's something to look out for within the commerce area around Apple Pay. And project operations do have one thing to highlight here. There is a new expense mobile app that's coming out. Public preview is the May timeframe with an expected GA in September. So this is a net new expense app, not just a refresh of the existing one. So again, public preview starting here very shortly, but the idea is that it's a kind of the ground up redesign of the application itself. So a couple of things to call out here: expense itemization, the ability to approve expense reports that are submitted to you, and then also get notifications about expense reports that your manager has reviewed. Okay. On to customer stories.
All right, thanks, Tom. I'm going to attempt to take control back here. We'll see what happens, if that was a bad decision or not. But all right, so yeah, I just wanted to highlight a couple of customer stories we have this month. The first one is around Lumen Technologies, and if you're not aware, this company was formerly known as CenturyLink, a technology company that provides network, cloud, and security services. they have cultivated an active community of Lumen makers, which is over 800 professional and citizen developers across the company that are building Power Platform solutions. And some have increased efficiency in their business processes by over 90%. They've used the recently announced managed environments and pipeline capabilities in Power Platform, and also in conjunction with a COE toolkit to establish robust governance and administration in ALM in their environment. So really good example of usage of Power Platform and the efficiency that it can bring overall to the business. Also wanted to mention the Microsoft Power Up program. This is a 12-week skilling program designed to enable non-technical professionals to successfully advance their careers with low-code application development using Power Platform technologies. And so this is the first 18 learners that completed that Power Up program successfully. So if you're interested in getting involved with that program, make sure to check out that link there and get involved with the Power Up program. Okay, on the Learning Corner side, I wanted to point out just a few different assets that are available to you for learning Power Platform. This Power BI community has a great set of webinars and videos that you can take a look at and get up to speed on all the different latest Power BI features. Also, if you're not following the PowerCat YouTube channel already, I would recommend that. Tons of good information there. This is from our product group. You know, a lot of new features are covered there and a lot of different things. So make sure you take a look at the PowerCat YouTube page. Also, they have some great playlists available. So if there's a certain subject category, they do that with different playlists. So like this one, you can go through a number of different videos around setting up Azure DevOps for ALM Accelerator. And then also the Dynamics 365 YouTube site. This one, you know, is definitely more specific on the Dynamics side, but covering those apps, lots of new functionality there, and covers everything in the Dynamics side. So I would recommend subscribing and following on that one. And then lastly, our team manages a blog, and so we have a lot of good articles out there as well, and I'd recommend taking a look at. We publish a monthly update on that blog. That's where you're going to find the links to this recording and the slide deck, all that good stuff. So definitely check that out and make sure you're following it as well. And I'll turn it over back to Tom.
All right, great. So just a couple of call outs on the finance and operations side for learning. We have not featured or called out the architecture insights videos in the past. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of those. The architecture insights videos, I highlighted a couple of here that are recent ones in the finance and operations space. Intelligent order management orchestration, and then also Power Query transformation under IOM, and then also data migration for project operations. So those are just a few of the recent ones there, but there's videos across all of the Dynamics applications that are located here. And so I would encourage you to check those out. A lot of them are, you know, short in nature. You can see, you know, 24 minutes, 18 minutes. So they're very to the point on the topics that they cover. So just again, another good resource for you. So next slide. Recent blog posts for the finance and supply chain management in the field blog. The most recent one here is from Jose Antonio around Azure load testing for finance and operations. That's a good read. And Kenneth did a nice job of talking about some warehouse topics there. So I just wanted to call those out as good, nice recent posts that you can check out in those areas. And again, that's on our team's blog. And that's all that I have under learning. Oh, actually, one more. I get so back to the Fast Track Tech Talks. There is some new content out there. Kind of the most recent stuff is around HR and then cost accounting. There's a series on cost accounting there. So these tech talks continue to be recorded, and the recordings are posted. The link provided at the bottom. And I think that's my last slide. There we go.
Yes, I think you're correct. So, all right. Well, thanks everyone for joining today. We apologize for the technical difficulties. The deck will be available at the link. It's aka.ms / power platform tub. If you can't see the screen or if you can't get to the chat, but the link is also in the chat, and you can find the deck there. We will also be publishing a recording of this call, and it'll be available in that same spot, so you can find all that information there. So thanks everyone for joining today. It looks like we're at time. Thanks, Tom, for the finance and ops side of things, and thanks, Madan, for monitoring the chat and helping out with the technical difficulties. Hope everyone has a great day. We'll see you next time.